Welcome back to Quick Resume episode 8, everybody. We are coming at you with myself, Deck, and my co-host Tim. We have a few chunks of things to go over this week. There's always news. There's always news in the world of Xbox. Tim, how are you this week? How's the week been treating you?
I'm good, man. The week's been treating me all right. Pretty busy work-wise and stuff, and nothing too crazy on the gaming front this week. Pretty much just been grinding Monster Hunter, to be honest, and I haven't actually been playing too many games this week. I think we've both been a little bit on and off this week. But yeah. So not the week's been alright. Glad it's the weekend now, and yeah. I haven't got much to report on the gaming front, apart from the fact that I've sunk like 45 hours into Monster Hunter Rise. So using the shitty but great Switch. It's great in so many ways and shitty in so many others, as we covered for a solid 30 minutes in the last episode. The Switch hating podcast.
Yeah, just tearing into the Switch. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't actually checked my my playtime, but yeah, I imagine it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
But it's same really. I mean, it's just a bit of Monster Hunter there and there, and some more Hollow Knight. Really, I've been I got a good opportunity to play it quite a bit yesterday, and it's growing on me, man. I had like a phase the other day where I was just getting pissed off because I said to you, I was like carrying the the money. Like, sorry if you hear birds in the background. They're part of the panel.
Me.
So
yeah, that's I've got very loud birds in my neighbourhood.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, it's we have neighbourhood watch on it, but it's one of those things.
You never know.
You can't kill all the birds.
Yeah, you've got to stop those government drones from spying on you. So yeah,
some of them are cries for help.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Yep. And I was just getting pissed off, like running across the map a little bit. I think there maybe needs to be a bit more of a fast travel system, other than what there is, and maybe there is something later in the game. I know you can kind of ride that big bug boy, but anyway, I'm over that hump, and I've like found some new power ups. I found some cool stuff. Yeah, it's cool, man. I'm enjoying it more and more. Like the longer I play it. It definitely gets me excited for whatever a sequel could look like. I don't think it's overall. I don't think it's as good as Ori 2, but Ori 2 is the second installment, so like Ori 2 improved a lot over the first. So we'll see what Hollow Knight 2 does. I don't think the platforming is as tight. Combat's fine. It's pretty good. I don't think it's has as much depth as Ori 2 does, but it's still good. It's tight, but yeah, I just find the jumping a bit weird.
It's a bit slippy, isn't it?
There's something
you
about
kind of slide a bit.
Like
when you land and when it's a bit floaty, I think.
You
would describe the Outriders aiming mechanic.
Yeah, it's fucking Outriders.
It's a bit floaty.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of both. It's weird. It's a bit floaty, but then sometimes it's also a bit heavy. Like, I feel like there's too much gravity on the jumps. Like when I let go of A, dude like hits the floor like a sack of shit, like really quick, and it's like I don't know. I just find it quite hard to control, and it makes me think of like, I think it's like Celeste, and I think they did it in Ori as well because they spoke about it on Twitter. I'm pretty sure where they said like in these platformers, it's designed like the you have like a frame or two or like a couple of frames of like being able to jump off nothing. So after you run to like the end of a platform, there's actually a bit of extra time where you can jump off nothing, and it's the game giving you like that extra second. Whereas that's just not there in Hollow Knight, which is fine because I mean Hollow Knight's meant to be its own. It's meant to be kind of quite unforgiving and quite difficult. And I don't think it's terribly bad because there are sometimes you like fall down caverns in Hollow Knight, like by accident, and you just keep falling. And you're like, fuck! And they're like, the bugs are getting like bigger and bigger, and that's totally in line with what Hollow Knight wants you to feel. But I still feel like overall it makes for like some of the platforming, you just like slip off like a platform, and you're like, I clicked A, I definitely clicked A. But overall, yeah, really good, man. Really, I'm in the full swing of it. I'm on the Hollow Knight hype train, so hopefully I'll have it finished by next week. But we'll see. We'll see.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not really sure how long it is in terms of playtime. I mean, I didn't sink many times. My speech.
You can do it.
I didn't sink much time into Hollow Knight, probably about 10 to 15 hours. So
Didn't sink much time into your speech skill either.
I need to work my English. I guess around the same sort of playtime you're at right now. You're probably approaching that sort of 10 hour, maybe just under.
I think I'm just over 10. I think maybe I'm sort of 12, somewhere between 12 and 15.
But I did enjoy what I played. I always compare those sort of games, like you said, rightfully so. You compare them to like Ori, and I compared it a lot with, at the time, Shovel Knight as well. Which,
I've never played it.
I think I enjoyed Shovel Knight a little bit more, to be honest. I'm a big fan of pixel art for a start. Not that Hollow Knight isn't beautiful; it's a very, very pretty game.
Hollow Knight's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a very pretty game. But I do quite like the pixel art and the colours of Shovel Knight, and I felt like there was just like loads more abilities, and the levels were very clever in the way you used your abilities to get around, which again Hollow Knight does, but I think it just comes down to personal preference. And Shovel Knight was a bit more wacky. It didn't take itself that seriously. It was still really difficult as well. Like, it was still like those. I feel like all platformers these days, it's like a staple to try and be difficult for the game. They're like, we're making a platformer, it's great, it's beautiful. Now, how the fuck do we make this shit hard? We got to make it hard. It's like platformers are where like hard games are born now, like more so than any other genre, I think. Like Dark Souls kind of does the RPG element of difficulty and stuff like that, but I feel like all other difficulty just resides solely in platform games these days.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think like platformers are seeing a bit of a resurgence, and you know what? I'm totally in for it. Like, if you'd asked me 5 years ago, like, oh, what do you think of platformers? I'd be like, oh, it's fucking alright, but make it 3D, would you? But now I'm like, no, you know what? They have their own space. Like, and like with Ori and with Hollow Knight, I think they're really two big steps in the right direction for that genre. You've got like I said, Celeste, which is kind of like more traditional. It's just like a pure platforming kind of game, which was really, I completed Celeste, which was like amazing as well. Yeah, I don't know. I do think it's quite a cool evolving genre at the moment. And I say this without an absolute hint of irony, and I've got it here in my notes. Hollow Knight feels like 2D Dark Souls Bug Edition.
Oh God, this guy! Why don't you just go write a clickbait review article?
It's the Dark Souls of bug games. It's the Dark Souls of side scrollers, dude. No, but I mean, it clearly is. Like, it's clearly inspired by Dark Souls, with the benches and the bonfires and limited fast travel. Like, it clearly, and you like die and you have to go back and get your soul. It clearly is, and it's not a bad thing. It's always quite a nice little fusion. But it has that quite compelling hook, I think. I think you do kind of get with Dark Souls where it's like sometimes you'll die and you lose your souls and you'll be really fucking disheartened. But then there are other times where you're running through the world, you've got you don't know where the next bonfire is, you've got 10 health left, and you're like, I've got 20,000 souls, and it's like that like really nice bit of tension where it's like you're right on edge but you think you can do it. And I think Hollow Knight hits that quite often.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely. I remember I think it was last night or the night before where I met you to play some Monster Hunter and invited you to the party, and then you were literally just like silent for like, I don't know, like a minute or something, and then you were just like, I was like, that's quite a journey. that was quite so much money. And I finally found a bench or a checkpoint or something. You genuinely sounded like stressed.
It was so stressful because I had to go so far, man. Like, because I went on like a real journey. Like, I saw on the map there was like a little bit I hadn't gone to, and I was like, "Fuck it, man! Like, I'll just take my time with it. I'll go and have a look." And it took me to like this whole new like biome, and like I got a new ability, and then I was like, I was on really low health. I didn't have like enough to like focus to heal. And I know I can you hurt enemies to get that back to heal, but I was just like, I need to beeline, I need to get this back, because I'd like beaten 2 bosses, and I still hadn't found a checkpoint, so I was sitting on like loads, and I was just like, I've got to, and I had to go so far, like, 'cause I didn't want to take risks and start going in other directions just to try and find a fast travel. So yeah, it was tense.
Yeah. No, they are really tense. I'm not sure if this is anywhere in the notes, but I guess on the topic of just platformers just done right, and like you were saying, like, make it 3D. The world was graced with Balan Wonderworld. Was it this week? Or was it the week before?
I think it was last week, but yeah,
I think it was last week. That's a 3D platformer done right. That game ticks all the boxes.
We're truly in the cursed timeline. Did you see Donkey's video on it?
I did,
great.
Yeah.
It was so fucking
funny.
Stupid. Yeah.
It was so funny. I was laughing so hard when that one of the abilities is just like a fox magician that just randomly turns you into a box without any control on the play or anything. It could be 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 2 seconds, and you just slide off the map. And he's just like, how is this fun?
Yeah.
Why is this the thing?
Yeah. And there were like characters that just like did the same thing. There was like robot guy who could boost, and then robot guy wwho could jump really high, and it like was the same functional thing. And then there was like water guy. Yeah, it was so stupid. Yeah, it looked so weird.
They just like made each other redundant, didn't they? All
yeah, exactly.
Costumes.
Yeah. I remember when that game got announced, because it got announced at the when was it? It was like one of the Xbox events. It got announced at an Xbox event.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. And I remember them being like, "It's the action game of all action games," and I was like, they showed a bit of gameplay, and I was like, I'm not sure. Yeah,
but it's a weird one how a game like that can still release in this day and age, and have the balls to charge £55 for. It's absolutely hilarious. My God, I just don't understand. I just wanted to cover it briefly because we didn't talk about it, and it's just quite funny. I just don't know. I don't know what the fuck happened with that game. But it got a lot of exposure as well. I feel like it got like a lot of time at like shows and stuff like that, like trailers and like stage time and stuff like that. And then it's that was the result.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like it got a lot of press from Xbox because Xbox are trying to make a good, impression with Japanese games. So they were like, "Yeah, we'll take it," and then it's awful. So it's not ideal. Yeah, 4 out of 10 from IGN. Oof. You just don't see that often. You don't see.
I think that's generous, man. I think that's generous. When I was watching it, and I was like, I like the actual like frame drops. I was like, how is a game like this running at like 10 frames right now? It looks like shit. It looks like a mobile game. Oh my God. And it's just the actual just hardware behind it is just awful, just as well as just everything else about it.
Yeah.
Like, you could at least expect it to run well. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it is a shame. Because like some parts of like this stuff is kind of forgivable, but like poor performance is kind of not. Like if you've developed a game around a bad design idea, like whatever, like it happens, that whatever. But like making a bad game and allowing it to perform badly, it's like, well, it can at least like, why is it not performing well? Because that's just something that needs more time, then, isn't it? So
exactly, that's just inexcusable, and. I mean, if a game comes out, I'm not one of those people where I just look at the graphics. I'm quite happy to play a game that looks mediocre, or in this one's case, awful. If it still runs well, but it looks like a fucking PS2 game, and it runs worse than any PS2 game in that era. It's like chugging. It's like butt chugging like a frat boy. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it's a Nier Automata is like that. No, it runs really well, but like it just looks like shit. Like the animations are amazing, and guess what else is amazing about that game? The soundtrack is amazing.
The soundtrack. That's what it is. The soundtrack.
And yeah, it's really smooth, but like the textures and the like I guess the resolution is fine, but the textures on stuff is really bad. Like really bad. Like some of it was genuinely distracting, was like immersion breaking, because some of the buildings just looked like they were just like just a flat texture with just a pattern on it. It looks some of them, and I'm like, why is this here? It's so peculiar. I don't know why.
Yeah. It also looked it looked quite vast in a lot of ways as well. Like just quite empty. Like lots of open, empty areas and stuff like that from like videos I've seen and stuff like that. But
yeah, I mean maybe a little bit, but
not much in there.
It's reasonably dense overall. Near is reasonably dense. But there's like maybe a few areas that they focused on in the marketing materials. I don't know that were quite open. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's our intro. We covered Hollow Knight, Balan Wonderland, the Switch, and Nier Automata. So, wow. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
No, I just really wanted to bring up Balan. I didn't see it in the notes, and I was like, I need to slam this game. Like, this makes my Friday. Like,
yeah.
But no, I'm happy.
It's cathartic. Yeah, okay, good. Awesome. Well, we've got a couple of juicy bits of nuggets for this week. We have some of it's kind of leading on from last week. Some of it is newer developments from this week. Some of it's speculation and rumours and stuff, and other bits and bobs are news. So I wanted to, towards the end of last episode, we spoke about a game that was being teased by a few people now, I will say, but mostly being teased by Jez Corden from Windows Central. And he teased with a cyclone emoji. We all thought it was a cyclone. He's now come out on the record and said it's a typhoon. Doesn't really change anything, but it allows for different speculation. He also said it isn't just anything to do with Just Cause, Battlefield, or anything to do with Ubisoft. He says it's a new AAA IP that Xbox is making with a prominent independent large developer. It's a multiplayer connected world, which sounds interesting and compelling, and he thinks that it might be announced this year with a cinematic teaser. So this is like the one game maybe that Xbox has in its back pocket to show off this year that could be a bit of a surprise, maybe due to launch in 2022. And just to kind of update on this as well, with this particular game, this mystery AAA IP multiplayer connected world game made by who knows, Miles is also it's from Windows Central as well, and he's described it as really big, a really unique idea. It's not a looter shooter or an MMO, but stands as its own thing, and it's by a team that hasn't been doing multiplayer things before. So I understand that to mean it's just mostly a single player thing. So that's two people we've got so far, like corroborating similar stuff. Okay, yeah, they work at the same organisation, but whatever. Third bit of corroboration. Matty from the Defining Duke podcast, he's a YouTuber, does Xbox news and gaming news and stuff, says that he knows what the game is, and he'll add that it sounds really, really unique, and he thinks that people will be really stoked when they see it. So it's just a bit weird. It's like getting me to think, like, what could a connected world multiplayer game look like that isn't a shooter, isn't like an MMO? Like, yeah. I'm like, what does that mean? If it's something that's quite unique, like it's trying to imagine what a shared world game could be like in another genre, and I don't know. It's quite hard to even start with that. Like, where do you even begin?
Yeah, I'm kind of just like going through the genres in my head and just trying to think, because they literally haven't specified a genre, have they? All they've said is it's just multiplayer centric.
It's not a looter shooter. It's not an MMO.
Okay, yeah. And they didn't classify it was like open world, did they?
No.
They just said connected world. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so hard to speculate something like that. It's very hard, and like you said, it's so hard to imagine it being anything not like what we've seen, and the fact that everyone is describing it as unique is
Yeah.
is very weird.
Yeah. And no, it is. It definitely is. And I think it's when stuff like this. I mean, maybe like I could be totally overreacting, but like when you see stuff like this, it kind of does like give you like a bit of a perspective on like what genres we're used to, or like how games work. Because sometimes I think, we have like a really fixed idea of what a game should look like. If you think of what a good game is, it's like, oh well, there's a third person shooter brawler. It tells a story. Or like, oh, it's a first person, this, that, and the other, and it's like, if you think about like what a game does, it's just one way of like, of interacting with something to allow you to feel something, in terms of art. If you think about what Tetris is, that's even compared to like what we consider like a proper game, quote unquote today, it's like that's literally just slotting shapes into other shapes. So it's just quite funny to think of like, we think of games as a service or like shared world games, like unanimously, like most people will just think of a looter shooter. I mean, you don't even connect it to the idea of something else. Like imagine like an RTS, like a connected world real-time strategy game. Imagine like, shared world like sports game. Like I don't know. Like literally, we could be going in any direction, but it's just quite. I think it's quite funny that this is something where clearly the connected world element it means a particular thing to a lot of people, and like it was the same for me. Like it's the first thing you think of.
Yeah, I mean it could just be, just
poker.
The fact that poker. No, they just haven't specified it's a shooter, so it still could be like an action game, just in this sort of like a brawler sort of sense,
A fighting game? Yeah, no,
like
wow.
Like melee combat. I don't know, fucking bleeding edge connected worlds. I don't know. It could just be all they said is there's no shooty McFace. That's it.
Yeah, not a shooter. So... Yeah, no, I guess you're right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like maybe I'm being over dramatic, but like I think. It would be interesting to see something like this done in a totally different genre. I mean, like we said, it's with multiple corroborating reports now that it's quite unique and not like any other connected world game. So we'll see. I mean, maybe it is just like a new. It could just be a new take on, like you said, like a brawler. Like I guess the only thing that comes to mind is oh fuck, what was that? What was the one Gearbox just pumped out exclusive on PlayStation?
Oh. What was it? That's on the tip of my tongue.
Godfall.
That's it.
Yeah,
God awful.
God awful. Yeah, that's like connected world kind of thing, isn't it? Or is it more like instance?
I think it is. Yeah, but then that's looter as well, though. Like that.
Yeah.
That is. So like, but yeah, along a similar lines maybe. And yeah, you don't even know if it's like PvE or PvP or both. Like it literally could. I've always been a big fan of PvP and PvE when it's mixed in together. I do quite like that.
As in PvPvE or PvP and PvE?
PvPvE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was a huge fan of when what was it, Halo 4 did Warzone? Was it Halo 4 that first did Warzone?
5 did Warzone first.
Was it 5? What did 4 do then? I could have sworn. Oh yeah, but you know the one where it was PvE and PvP on like one big map. You went to like spawn areas to kill bosses and stuff like that. I really liked that game. I thought it was cool. I don't know if the card based system really fit in it, but it was cool. The idea was really cool. I'm always a fan of that. So I would quite like to see something PvE VP.
It is. PvP. It is still quite like a unique thing, though, isn't it? Like you don't see it in many games. Yeah. I know MOBAs have that kind of element, but it's not really PvE. They're just fodder that you just kill.
Yeah, you saw it in the extremely successful Battleborn.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if it really counts for MOBAs, but like PV and the Hunt is the other one I can think of. The Hunt. Oh yeah. Hunt Showdown. This is what I'm thinking of. That's like the example that comes to mind when I think of PvPvE done well. There's what's a game that's coming out? Oh, Hood, that Hood game. Hood,
yes, that looks really cool.
Hood Legends and Hunters and Bumders. That one.
Thieves. Yeah. I think it has Thieves in the name. I think. Was
You
it
don't think
not?
it has bunders? Hunters and Thieves. Yeah, I think you might be right.
Thieves. Yes.
I think so. Yeah, that's PvPvE as well. I think that looks really good as well. I think it's quite an unexplored genre, really, but I think it does have a place.
There's a lot of potential there, but which in its sense, that that could say it's unique. The fact that a AAA studio is picking up an idea like that does make it unique, doesn't it? Because no AAA studio really has done that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, depending on like to what degree, like maybe when this is revealed, we can come back and we could say, oh, well, on the scale from like 0 being not unique and 10 being really, really unique, this was actually only like a 3 or a 2 or something. But like as of right now, like in my head, like this could be something up at a 7 or an 8. It's just, that's the sort of game I think you're going to expect to see a lot more games on that higher end of the continuum from Xbox, simply because devs who are making those sorts of games are going to want to go with Games Pass because it's so risk-free. Even with PlayStation having a bigger install base, sort of, if we're excluding PC, I think you're going to see that, and it wouldn't surprise me. It's just the sort of thing Xbox like to sort of take gambles on these sorts of games, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you're an independent studio and you're like, we're making something that's unique, the first place you're going to turn is be like, Xbox, can we please have it on Games Pass?
Please.
Because like you said, it just takes that risk element out, and it allows people to be a bit more creative. But I mean, if you were to have like a gut feeling, like, well, what would you think it is based on that? Would you stick with your RTS sort of?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to be an action game. I think it's going to be something like in an area that we haven't really seen before. Yeah, I think it could be potentially something like strategy based. Because I'm just trying to think of like, are these sorts of like, what sort of action game have you played in the last like 10 years that doesn't have a loot element? I cannot think of one. Even Zelda has loot elements now, like so it's like I don't understand how you're going to make that work. So it's not that it's impossible, but like it would be hard for me to guess. So I think it will be in like a different genre that we haven't really seen before. Maybe something like strategy. Probably not. Won't be like racing or anything like that. Yeah, I'd probably go with something like strategy, maybe.
It could be like a cool like I don't know, like card game maybe. Like a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh style big sort of shared world, challenge people to like duels and stuff like that. But then do you count like collecting cards and building decks as loot? Probably not.
I don't think so. Or connected world, play with your buddies, go on adventures together. It's a roguelite. Mic drop.
Could be. Yeah.
And you all die, you all come back to the castle together, get your preparations ready, and you go out again to find each other's bodies.
You all blame that person that died.
Exactly.
Yeah, that genuinely could be. Yeah. Those sort of games are held in very high regards these days, roguelites and platformers in that regard.
Imagine a platformer. Imagine a connected world platformer.
Just Celeste, but like 100 people. What's happening?
Yeah.
Like Battlefield Theatre, but like actually everyone, like hundreds of people pushing you off the cliff.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
I think that's just called Fall Guys, isn't it?
True.
I guess like the only other thing I'm thinking of is like something like Monster Hunter. I guess that's not really loot based. I know it's not a connected world, but like if it was, like a Monster Hunter Online or whatever, that isn't
well, they had
really
that Frontier,
loot.
didn't they?
Frontier, yeah. Is there one called Monster Hunter Online, or are they the same thing? I don't know. Yeah.
I think Monster Hunter Online and Frontier are the same thing. I think it got rebranded somewhere along the way, but I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But yeah, it could be something like that for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. There's, in terms of who's doing it, a lot of speculation is pointing towards Avalanche. Avalanche are the guys that did Mad Max in collaboration with id. Was it id? id Software?
No, I don't think so. Let me have a look. What are you? I just typed Max Mad.
Max Mad, and they did it with fuck. What else did they do? Just Cause, Avalanche.
Yeah.
So yeah. Although they are owned by Warner Bros, so maybe not.
Developers was Avalanche and Mindscape for Mad Max.
No,
Warner
they
Bros.
partnered. Oh, maybe I'm being an idiot. I'm being a dumbass. I'm thinking of Rage 2, aren't I?
Yeah. Rage 2 was id. Yeah.
Rage 2 was id and Avalanche, I think.
Yes.
Am I right?
What, Rage 2?
Yeah.
I definitely know it's id.
Yeah, Avalanche and id. Yeah, I remember it was a partnership. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is what some of the speculation is pointing towards. There was Avalanche were looking for Xbox specialists back in February and November last year, and everyone was like, "What do you need that for, guys? What do you need that for?" I mean, obviously, it could literally just be that they need people to be able to work on different platforms, but it just seemed a bit sus. And they're also apparently working on an unannounced open world AAA multiplayer game.
Oh.
Could be related, it doesn't say that it's an Xbox game, but there are just a lot of reasons to be thinking that possibly it could be Avalanche. I mean, we very well could be wrong, but I wouldn't blame you for thinking that it was. And they don't do multiplayer games. They typically do single player games, so that would fall in line with what Jez says as well. So that's kind of the summary of all of that, really, of the Typhoon game. Whatever that means.
Yeah, looking forward to the potential teaser later this year. That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And if this is a thing, it's quite far along, allegedly. So I don't think we'd see it any later than 2022. But I mean, yeah, we'll see. And then just to sort of top that off, because that was on top of what was said last week. Jez again called and says that. There are he knows of 3 more games being made by Xbox Games Publishing with other partners. So remembering that Xbox Games Publishing are the team that work with third parties to make games for Xbox exclusively, like your Recores, like your Scalebound, rest in peace, like your Killer Instincts and all of them. He knows that 2 are new IPs, and he knows that 1 is a spin-off based off an existing franchise. He thinks those 3 are quite far out. And just to be clear, those 3 aren't the AAA multiplayer one we've just discussed. They also aren't the Kojima game, if that is to be believed.
Okay.
So there's a lot in the oven. There's a lot of pies in the oven. And yeah, so it's quite. I don't know what franchise we could be spinning off. Like, a lot of people have been asking for like a Halo spin-off for a while. I know we've had like Spartan Assault and Halo Wars, but a lot of people have been asking for like a gritty, like a kind of a different take on an ODST or whatever, or a different Spartan, and just tell a different story with that, because it's such an expansive universe, isn't it, Halo? So
yeah, and we've already had the sort of the spin-off from like Gears and stuff with Tactics.
Right.
So you're probably not likely to see a spin-off of existing of Gears again.
Although I think, to be fair, like Gears is also like a prime candidate for more spin-off material, just because a lot of it's. I don't know if you've read much into Gears, but like the lore is really vacant. Like there's not much of it. It's kind of a bit.
Read too much into it. No.
No, there's genuinely not much of it, like the background. Whereas if you go to like Halo Wiki, you could get lost there all night. Whereas if you go to Gears, you're on a planet. Like all of Gears takes place on a planet called Serra, and we don't know anything about Serra. Like, why are there humans there? What's going on? Like, is this just entirely fictional, or like, so there's like nothing about like if it's meant to be, like alternate timeline or in the future or whatever. It's like, how did humans colonize on this different planet? Like, so. It's definitely, Gears is quite ripe, I think, for that sort of spin-off material, but Halo has a lot of already established lore to work with, so both could be quite cool, but maybe it's something else entirely, who knows.
Yeah. Cool though. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's cool.
Very exciting.
Cool. Lots of stuff in the oven. So, there are just various dribs and drabs of Xbox Game Studios updates that I kind of wanted to cover, just because, well, as I say, there's just been a few updates from different studios, so I just wanted to go over some of them. So, first of all, Undead Labs. Undead Labs are resident developers of State of Decay and State of Decay 2, and then most recently State of Decay 2 Juggernaut Edition. They have just started recruiting for a senior combat designer. Thank God, because
Yeah,
those games need some better combat.
they do. Yeah, the combat is very. It's just par. It's not bad, but it's just par. It really is so average.
It's not the game's strong suit, is
for
it?
sure. No, definitely not. The game's strong suit is tethered co-op. Oh, that makes me angry.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Yeah, a studio like that with their past titles could definitely benefit from having a. Maybe Rare should look into that as well.
Yeah, maybe they should. Yeah, whoever that is, if they can work for Rare as well, that would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think of like the State of Decay franchise as a whole?
I like it. I think it has a lot of potential, but I think it's a solid, like, right now it's like a solid 6, maybe 7 out of 10 in my brain. Like, that's how I view the franchise. But then when one does come out, I'm always just like, oh, cool. Like, I want to play this. And I was excited to see State of Decay 3 as well. See that trailer and that news come out and stuff. Mm-hmm. I just really just want them to embrace the fact that they're making an open world zombie game and just give people co-op. Like, they just wedge it in, like, half baked. But I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I feel like a game like that is just perfect for co-op. Yeah. And there are so many Zambo games that are great, but they don't necessarily have co-op. I mean, Days Gone is one that comes to mind. It's more of a single-player experience, and like games like World War Z and stuff like that saw great success when they made like co-op in their game, and did it properly. So yeah, I like the franchise. It doesn't go that deep. You know, you have your exploding zombies, you have your big zombies, you have your spitting zombies, you have the ones that jump on you. Mm-hmm. You've seen it in every game. Like, it doesn't do anything that outside of the box. But for me, what would really do it for me is if they embraced co-op a bit more.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure I would agree. Like, yeah, maybe in terms of the enemy variety, but like the whole point, like, obviously the biggest thing about the game is the sim. You know, it's like a simulator, isn't it? Zombie world, like, with the resource gathering and the base building and the, recruiting and all of that shit. I think that's the thing that people, to be honest, like, the game could, like, not be in a zombie apocalypse, and like, if those elements were still in, the people who like State of Decay would still like it, because that's like the part that they seem to get right every time. It's like that part of, like, you're building a community, you're kind of fostering that, making sure that the house survives. You've got med bays and tech and all of that stuff. And that stuff I always think is quite good in State of Decay. But like, I totally agree. Like, the other areas need to be better. And like, for some reason, they've always had a problem with polish. Undead Labs, like, for some reason, their games are always coming out. State of Decay 1, you could forgive. They were an indie dev. It's fine. We get it. Okay. Yeah. Second one came out. Still wasn't polished. What's going on with that? They even had sweet Microsoft money. I don't really understand why that game came out as bad as it did. Like, yeah, I would have probably played it more if it performed better. Like, the co-op thing was a bit of a kick in the nuts and didn't help, but I would have probably played it more. But it just performed so badly. Like, it would run at like 30, it would drop down to like 20. It was just,
yeah. And it's not. It doesn't look like the most physically demanding game either, with those sort of performance issues.
No,
with it.
No, I don't know. I think they have some really smart game designers in there. I think a lot of the gameplay systems are actually really good and really like immersive, like, the fact that they have like these open vistas and you've got to be really careful with noise. Again, I know none of this is like new territory for zombie games, but it has like the added tension of, because you're carrying a lot of resources, and then if that area is too infested, actually you've got to go somewhere else. So a lot of that risk reward like works really well, but it's all the other stuff really, like that makes it a bit of a pain. It's the Juggernaut edition apparently fixed a lot of the game's problems. They kind of re-released it under that banner. So yeah, I'd be tempted to boot it up and give it another go, to be honest. But I'm definitely excited to see what they can do with State of Decay 3. Part of me wants them to. I know it's stupid, but part of me kind of just wants them to move on from State of Decay. I know it's like the idea they have for it is very, like, they want to like perfect that whole like simulation survival zombie community sort of thing. But they've always wanted to do, and they've said this, they've always wanted to do like an MMO type style one. So like State of Decay 3 will be that. Like, it will be that kind of multiplayer thing. So
we'll see. For sure. State of Decay 3, I think. I think that's kind of their third strike and you're out sort of thing. They kind of got to get it right for that, because, like you said, there was no reason State of Decay 2 should have come out as it is. But it's obvious that Microsoft and they have a bit of a sweet spot for the franchise as well. So they're like, all right, guys, this is strike 3. You fucked this up, and no more State of Decay. But I have high hopes for it, and I do like Undead Labs. I think they're good developers in a lot of ways, and bad in a lot. And them hiring this guy is covering one of those bad spots. So great.
Yeah,
kudos to
absolutely. Sorry, I have a very mischievous rabbit in the background.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm sure they can hear it.
He's gone now. Okay, so yeah, I'm in full agreement. I think like to be fair as well, though, I don't know why they bothered showing the State of Decay 3 trailer. I don't know why we saw that. It's so far out. It's in like early pre-production. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, why?
Yeah. It's weird.
So I guess maybe, I don't know. I don't even want to speculate, but my fingers are always crossed for that franchise, because I think it's I do think it has a lot of potential. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Next up, we have ZeniMax Online Studios. So the studio responsible for Elder Scrolls Online. We all know they're making a AAA IP. They're making a new AAA game. I don't think we know if it's new IP or not. But they're recruiting for a vehicle designer, a senior vehicle designer. So it's clearly got vehicles in. I mean, can you think of any other MMOs that have vehicles in? What's that about?
Yeah, no.
I literally don't. I can't think of any.
I can't. No, I can't either. Yeah, you handed me a dead.
Sorry.
No, I can't. I don't know where to go with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. An MMO with vehicles.
Apparently, whatever that means. No idea. Next up, we've got Jeff Grubb confirming that there won't be any Gears 6 at E3. He got asked the question, I don't know why anybody thought Gears 6 would be at E3, but he did say because they have too much going on at the moment, and I don't know if he's referring to Coalition or Xbox, probably just Xbox, because on episode 1 of Quick Resume, as I'm sure all our listeners know because they listen so diligently to our episodes, I went on a big whole tirade about how I think Coalition should be working on something else by now because they're a really talented studio and that they're wasted on Gears. So in my head, I'm just going to assume here that Jeff is referring to Coalition having too much on their plate because they're working on wonderful new games, wonderful new IPs. So that's my headcanon.
Well, that has to be it. I mean, you're
it must
always, be. Yeah, what you say is gospel. So they were like,
yeah.
whoa, this guy's got a point.
I'm glad you agree.
Yeah, it must be. But I mean, yeah, it'd be nice, like you said, to see them work on things outside of Gears. But I mean, realistically speaking, yeah, they might just be referring to Xbox in general. But
yeah,
one can hope.
Absolutely. Next up, we've got Psychonauts 2, a little game called Psychonauts 2, being worked on by Double Fine Studios, obviously another studio owned by Xbox, headed by Tim Schafer. Psychonauts 2 was obviously a crowd-funded game, and that's why it's going to be coming to PlayStation 4. But it's just been dead silence. The game was meant to come out last year. It got delayed, and it got delayed again. Yada yada yada. And it's just been dead silence from for a while. So I don't have anything groundbreaking for you other than that it's still coming. They posted out on their Twitter saying it is definitely still coming this year. So I imagine this is the sort of thing where it gets dropped at E3. They announce it at E3 and say, "Oh, it's coming out next month. It's coming out now." That sort of thing.
Yeah. I can see that too. Because it's got a lot of hype around it, isn't it? It's a very community love game for whatever reason. I don't know. I've seen the footage of the first one. Never played it and stuff like that. It's cool. It's inventive. It's unique, sure, but I don't know. Nothing really sold me on it, and I was like, this game is all about the hype. Like, I can see why people like this, but maybe I'll give it a go.
Be on Games Pass.
It'll be on Games Pass. Yep, Games Pass. I'll play it. Games Pass, play it. I got that on my wall. Games Pass, play it. I'm
just programmed to say it at this point. Like, I don't even have to think.
Games Pass, play it.
Yeah. It's just my flowchart. I've been wanting to try the first one. The thing is, the first one came out in 2005. It's a really old game now, so for some reason the first one isn't on Games Pass yet, so it would be on original OG Xbox backwards compatibility. So as soon as it does, I'll probably give it a go. I probably won't finish it because it probably won't have aged well, but in terms of gameplay. But I'm like really interested in the idea of the second one, just to see what kind of fun things they what concepts they tackle. Obviously, for those that don't know, I work in mental health, and I've got multiple. Well, I've studied at uni for psychology before, so I'm really interested to hear where this kind of goes.
It does resonate with you a little bit.
Yeah, I find this stuff kind of fun. Sometimes it's not fun. And I'm like, I don't want to think about this anymore. But then in other times, it's just kind of fun. It's like the Inside Out Disney movie. Like, sometimes, even though it's a basic movie, it's very simple. You can tell the writers did their work, and there are a couple of concepts in there where it's very accurate or very true, or just kind of fun. So I'm just definitely interested to hear more.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Next up, we have from Twitter user Big Grey Donut. So when
that was so much more. It was sounded like a separate. It was sounded like a separate thing you were saying.
Yeah,
you were just like Big Grey Donut.
Anyway. How else do you report on something by Big Grey Donut? It's got to be done with a lot of force.
You can't just have to.
When you see people. It's the only comparison I have in my head. When you see people online go through and find Easter eggs or glitches online for speed running, and you're watching them do it, and you're like, how have they figured that out?
Yeah.
This guy has taken a couple of frames of the Halo Infinite showcase when the map zooms out. So you press back, the map opens up, and it zooms out to show the canvas, And he's determined that the Halo Infinite map square mile size is 84 square miles. By comparison, Red Dead Redemption 2 is 29 square miles. And if you don't know, Red Dead Redemption 2 it's fucking huge. The play space in that is absolutely massive.
Yeah, it's enormous.
So 84 almost seems a bit silly. Now, obviously, take this with a grain of salt because it's based on unreleased footage, and it's done on very loose calculations. But if this is anything close to true, we're obviously looking at a very big play space. Halo has vehicles, Red Dead Redemption has horses, so you can appreciate that maybe that would account for some parts of the map being bigger. But yeah, just a weird thing I wanted to throw in. Thank you, Big Grey Donut.
Yeah, that's very nice of you.
Yeah, it's
Very
a nice
useful, very very nice information to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's definitely like, I mean, like you said, it's loose. It's just, you know, it's just like a wacky calculation, isn't it? It doesn't really it's not really based on much, but you know, if it does turn out to be the case, that is pretty cool and pretty exciting. Especially when you consider that, you know, Halo's like an FPS. Like, that's kind of cool to have like a space that big to play around in that sort of genre. I don't think we've ever really seen that before in an FPS. Such an expansive, or just a expansive playground just in general, but obviously nothing quite to that extent if it is true. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. The only thing I can think of is maybe something like Rage, to be honest. Nothing else is really open world.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, they're liking that exploration route, aren't they? And sandbox route. That's definitely something they're trying to drive home.
Yeah,
which I'm totally game for. So
yeah, well, I mean, I think it's been something that it's been like, it's been something that a lot of people have wanted. I think anyway from Halo is kind of an open world approach. So yeah, I mean, but they have said it's kind of like a restricted open world, like it's not like no loading. You know, you go from big playable space to big playable space to, you know, so it's not like all there, which I mean makes sense because that's kind of like the mission structure and everything. So yeah, you know, we'll see where it goes, but hope, you know, if it is that big, we're looking at a big Halo map.
Big dummy thick Halo.
Dummy thick Halo, exactly. Dummy thick Chief. All right, here we go. Get warm, everybody. Get your ears nice and warm. It's Starfield time.
Yeah, our weekly Starfield news.
Woo! Yeah. So, what have we got? We have various news that further indicates, solidifies, encrusts the idea that Starfield is at the very least being revealed this year. I mean, this isn't like hugely surprising news, but it's just kind of reinforcing everything. It kind of gives an indication that it could be coming out 2021. To be honest, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking it might actually come early 2022, just because Xbox do actually have a couple of things coming out towards the end of 2021, and I just can't see how Starfield launches like before Halo as to not like cannibalize each other. Like, if Halo's November, it's not going to come out. Starfield's not going to come out in December. That's going to cannibalize it. And if it's not coming out, if it has to come out before it, then we're looking at like October. That's 1 month. That's not enough. We're looking at like September. Like, that's not long. Like, so I don't, I doubt it. So I'm starting to think that it's reveal at E3, launch early 2022. But we'll see.
I think that's a good estimate. That's a very like educated sort of estimate. You're smart, is what I'm trying to say. You're already smart.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah.
It's too tight the time frames to release it this year. Like you said, it's either not enough time and it's potentially rushed, or it's just coming out and being overshadowed by different things. I mean, if I were a betting man, I would probably say early 22, and I would probably even be saying that to the developers, in the studio. If they're like, we can get this out for 2021, and I'd just be like, work on it a little bit longer. It makes sense, just to actually release it a bit later. Just keep polishing your product, your knobs. Keep polishing your knobs. Just make it the best it can be and release it at a more advantageous sort of gap in the market.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's because I mean, like, I know I'm missing some off the top of my head, but like, some people have been saying that there's going to be a Forza this year as well, and it's like, if there is, then we're looking at, like, I know Psychonauts 2 is an exclusive, but it's Psychonauts 2 might not be coming to play at PS5. It might just be PS4 and then Xbox One and Series X, because that's what the original crowdfunding was promised on. But anyway, under Xbox Game Studios and the back half of this year, we're looking at Psychonauts 2, we're looking at Microsoft Flight Simulator, a possible Forza, and then obviously Halo. That's 4 game releases of like AA to AAA quality. When's E3? E3 is beginning of June. So they literally have 4 games to release over 6 months. Unless this stuff comes before E3, which isn't going to happen. So it's like to then cram Starfield in there, and I'm sure I'm forgetting like something as well. It just sounding less and less likely to me. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. But I mean, to be fair, I didn't even say what it was that led me to believe this. So let me just quickly cover it. The UK marketing director for Bethesda Game Studios updated his profile to include Starfield in the projects he's quote-unquote overseeing. That's number 1. Number 2 is that Starfield was recently added to ZeniMax's copyright/trademark page. Now, typically when this has appeared on their page, on their sort of website for other games, it's been indicative of the year of like release or like first publication, when it's first made public. So it's looking really likely we're seeing it this year. Release is still maybe a bit of a question mark.
Yeah. Which is I'm pretty fine with. I'm quite happy just to see it this year and just be like, it is a thing. We're not just talking about we're not just talking about nothing.
Yeah.
And then just be like, cool. Now I'll just wait 5-6 months. It's not even that long. We're like halfway through the year already.
Exactly. I mean, and that is Bethesda style, isn't it? Bethesda style, which isn't going to change, even though they've been acquired by Xbox because they have their own marketing department, is to like be dead silent. Announce games coming out in 6 months. Like Fallout 4 was like less than that, was it? It was like 3 months when they announced that. They're like, oh, by the way, working on this sequel to like one of the best-selling games of all time. It's out in a couple of months. Yeah, teeny weeny Fallout. And yeah, so that is their style. So like, if you see it in June, you can expect it to be out, in the next 6 to 8 months. That's like standard.
Yeah. I'd just be happy to see it at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm just going up and down on the idea of this E3, man. It's just it's going to be.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you were like at one point you were just like, everything, and now you're like, I don't know, I really don't know. And you're like, maybe we'll see something. Oh, it's really funny. It's funny to see your emotions change like on a weekly basis on E3.
I know. Well, I think it is going to be killer. I do think it's going to be killer, but I just think that maybe we'll end up seeing more CGI than a lot of people would like, because COVID, and therefore things are going to take longer and are going to have been delayed. So, So I mean, and that's okay. It just depends what we're seeing, and if we do see good gameplay, and if the other stuff looks good. So, I do still think it'll be a very good E3. But check in next week and you'll get a new opinion. Alrighty. So next up is some Games Pass news. Woo! Games Pass is. Have you seen the notes? Because I kind of want to ask you before you've seen it.
Yeah.
You have seen it, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Yeah.
No? Oh my god.
Yeah.
You haven't seen them at all, have you?
Yeah, I have. I've seen them.
It's not very convincing.
I've seen them. Would you want me
I've studied them.
Just go.
Okay, fucking hell. So Games Pass is up to 23 million subs as of April 2021. 23 million. That's pretty big. It was only at 18 in January. That's even bigger. That's 5 mil in like 3 months.
Jesus. And
do you know why? Drum roll. Literally Outriders.
Yeah. A bit of Bethesda, maybe.
Well, to be fair, yeah, actually that went through February, didn't it, or March or whatever. Yeah, that probably didn't hurt.
A little bit of Bethesda. here and there.
Yeah. I just think there's like a real impact factor to games being launched into Games Pass. There's a real sort of like, that creates a lot of buzz. And you saw it all over the internet, with Outriders, as people were like, oh well,
it's crazy.
For a lot of people who like have the luxury to have all the consoles or whatever, and like main the PlayStation, but also have a Series X, and like don't really play their Series X. They're like, why am I going to pay £70 to play Outriders when I can play on Games Pass?
Mm-hmm.
So it creates that sort of conversation, and I just think that's so powerful. On day one as well, it's so powerful, and MLB as well. Obviously, that's just exactly the same thing. Last week, so I can't help but think that that's had a huge impact on that.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, Outriders is for sure shot those figures up like crazy. And I think Bethesda didn't hurt as well. And I just think Xbox Games Pass is just gaining traction just as it goes as well. Through all means, through word of mouth, through just general advertisement, through value of money, all that sort of stuff. It's always improving. It's always getting better. So I just think it's one of those things where it just keeps gaining traction. So
I think it does make you think a bit. What is going to be? How much is this going to start to shake things up once Xbox have those quarterly like AAA bangers coming out? Phil's been on record saying that he wants the end goal is to have a like big AAA game coming out every quarter from them. And other things in between, but like tentpole releases like every 3 months. Like you imagine that in Games Pass, and this is why like it's wrong to say when people say like, oh, this is going to make Xbox do more games as a service. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. If somebody's playing one game, they'll just buy that game and not subscribe to Games Pass. Xbox wants a regular cadence of releases so that you have to resubscribe to play the new game. So like this is their whole strategy. And you just imagine, like, at the moment, none of these games are even exclusive. Just the value is enough to keep you hooked in. Let alone when they start cranking out their stuff, which is exclusive and and hopefully of good quality as well. The impact of that is gonna be bonkers.
Oh yeah, it'll be so interesting to like just timestamp this and just be like, well, what was it? It was 23 mil, wasn't it? And just be like, when these first party studio games and AAA games start cranking out, or even just the first one, it'd be very interesting just to see base it off Halo Infinite, like just be like, we're at 23 mil now, and then we'll go back to this video and then we'll just be like, so Halo Infinite launched, now we're at 100 trillion.
Yeah. You're all
Every
Games
human
Pass
on the planet has
we are Games Pass
subscriptions.
yeah.
So it's crazy.
And like once, like I kind of think of Xbox Game Studios as like a balloon that's just like filling with air month on month, and like and to be really starting with Halo Infinite, that's gonna pop, and like that's when like we're gonna start hitting that cadence of like Halo Infinite at the end of 2021 and then going into 2022. Really, I think we will have that sort of like rhythm of games coming out every quarter, and like that's just crazy. And I think it will be interesting. Like if they can nail Halo Infinite, it's going to be, they've got so much to come after Halo. Halo's, weirdly enough, Halo's like a drop in the water, actually. But, it's still a huge game. There's no way around it. And it still is kind of like, the crown gem for Xbox. So if that comes out to like 85 plus Metacritic scores, everything looks fantastic. Everybody's happy with what they're seeing. That could do so much damage, man. That could do so much damage.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think. You can't even like speculate. You just have to like wait and just see.
Yeah. But I mean, having said that, though, I guess I forgot. Like the multiplayer is free to play, isn't it? So it's quite interesting.
Yes.
It's a lot of people. Is there gonna? I guess people can dip their toes into the multiplayer, like if they're not really interested in the Halo franchise. But I think most people who are gonna want to do that are gonna be on Games Pass anyway. And so they're just going to get the whole thing. So yeah, whatever. But
yeah,
it's good shit.
Plus, I think a lot of people play Halo because they love the multiplayer and stuff like that. But then every single person also plays it for the campaign too. The campaigns are fantastic. Everyone loves Chief. You know, they're gonna want to play it, regardless of the multiplayer being free. It's just, yeah.
And like they're supposedly, you know, bringing back Forge and like file sharing and things like that because that's been somewhat absent. And, like they patched it into Halo 5 afterwards, but like supposedly they're going to have like a new version of that, and you know, Forge is going to be completely like it was in Halo 5. It was crazy. It didn't get enough attention for how good it was, and it's just going to be bigger and better in this, you know. So especially with like all of the new physics and all of that stuff, so that will probably be part of it.
They're literally just like, what the tools we used to make this game, you guys have got to. So you can make Halo Infinite 2 if you want.
Yeah,
that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Halo 7, all yours. You make it. That's why it's called Halo Infinite, because you just make the games now.
Yeah, infinite amounts of Halo.
Yeah.
So Halo Project, Halo Spark.
Yeah, like that's going to be huge. Like Forge is going to be. That's what I mean. Like if Halo Infinite lands. And you know, I'm sure people have said this about Halo. Maybe they haven't. I don't think they have actually. Do you know what? Come to think about it, because this is like a real turning point for Xbox. You know, they've got a lot of good PR. They've got a good console. They're selling well. They've got an excellent service. So I feel like this is like right at like the crucial moment. And if it lands, like it's gonna be huge for them. And I mean, they know that. We know that. That's why it got delayed for a year. So yeah. Alrighty. Okay, so let's. I wanted to. Oh, I guess actually before we did just touch on sort of what the new Games Pass drops are. There was some news which I haven't really typed out here, but I just wanted to mention it in passing of what was it? It was a PlayStation Video Pass, like leaks of a PlayStation Video Pass or something, which it seemed to be an official image, but it was indicating that. And we've said this for a few weeks now that Sony seem to be posturing themselves for a Games Pass competitor, and the only thing we've seen so far is, like I said, it was literally called a Video Pass. So I don't really know what that means. Maybe they'll have different. Maybe they will have literally a PlayStation Games Pass, a PlayStation Video Pass, and then maybe a tier where it's like all of them. I don't know, but they're clearly posturing themselves for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's been. I wouldn't say clear, but it's been quite obvious for a little while that that was in the works, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and to be fair, like if they manage to get it all out in time, like announce it at E3 and get it out in time by the end of the year, I think that will actually damage the potential impact that Games Pass could have as Xbox go into 2022. If they don't have it out by then and people start, and they, let's say Xbox have a killer E3 and, like I said, Infinite lands on both feet, and PlayStation, there's no Games Pass response to be seen. A lot of people, I imagine, who haven't got a console yet are going to be side-eyeing Series X being like, this is looking like a pretty good deal, right? I know of like 15 games that are coming out. They're all going to be coming day one to Games Pass. Halo Infinite is out now. So... Whereas I think if Sony were did the same thing and they were like, here's like 10 killer games going over the next 10 months, they're going to be coming to PlayStation Pass. That would kind of balance the scales a little bit for a lot of people. So I imagine they are trying to get this ready quite quick.
Timing is very key for that, for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Alrighty then, let's move on to those Games Pass games. So coming up next week over the period, well, some of it's this week and some of it's next week, we have MLB The Show. We spoke about this a bit last week, coming to Xbox for the first time ever, coming into pretty good reviews as well. We've got Fable 3 coming to Cloud. We've got Fable Anniversary coming to Cloud. We've got Fogs coming to PC. We've got Destroy All Fogs. We've got Destroy All Humans. I think it's a remastered. I can't remember what the name of it is. The cover art I'm looking at just says Destroy All Humans, but I'm pretty it's the remastered one. Yeah, that's coming to actually. I'm kind of interested in. I played this game on my PS2 when I was younger, and I had a baller of a time.
Yeah, it's a great game. I love Destroy All Humans.
Yeah, I might just boot it up and just have a look. So it's a Games Pass.
Yeah, it's a Games Pass. Yeah, that's another game that would be fantastic co-op. Man, I'd love to just be a duo of aliens just rape.
It would just be Crackdown, right?
Human population.
It'd just be better Crackdown.
Yeah, but good.
Yeah, exactly. And that's cloud, console, and PC. And then my most anticipated on this list is Second Extinction, which is also cloud, console, and PC. For those that don't know, Second Extinction is kind of a 3-player co-op shooty dinosaur shooty game. And it looks fun, man. It looks good. So I'm buzzed to give it a go, especially for free, free quote unquote on Games Pass. So Games Pass. Yeah, no, I mean I've been looking forward to this for a bit actually. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good list for this week.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, exactly the same as me. My most hyped is Second Extinction. I think it actually looks pretty cool, man. Left 4 Dead with dinosaurs. Let's go.
Yeah, pretty much.
And yeah, obviously I'll be playing it with you unless you ditch me. Don't ditch me.
Which I might do. I actually don't know if
please.
I don't know if I'm around next weekend. And do you know what? I went on the subreddit for it, and there's the devs have put out like a roadmap of what's to come, and there's already a roadmap stretching through for a year. So yeah, it all looks good. Yeah, no, it's excited to give it a go. There's quite a few. I think I said this on a previous episode, but there's quite a few like co-op games that are starting to come out over the next few months between Second Extinction, Hood, Back for Blood. I don't know, that got delayed a bit actually. But yeah, there's a couple. So it's
didn't get delayed much though. Back for Blood. It was like 1 month or something, wasn't it?
Maybe. I get the feeling it's like September or something. So.
I thought it was October. I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, either way. But there are quite a lot of those sort of games coming out. I'm calling it right now as well. Second Extinction is getting a dinosaur pass.
Do you think?
100%. Yeah.
A dinosaur
getting
pass.
A dinosaur pass.
A dino pass.
They might call it something a bit, but yeah, it might be a dino pass. Yeah. They'll get some sort of battle pass. 100%. Calling it right now. If it happens.
Okay.
If it happens, we're famous.
Okay. I'm glad that's a good condition. I quite like that.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. And if it doesn't happen, we're as we are. So,
yeah.
Nothing to lose.
Exactly. Exactly the type of bets that I like.
Yeah.
Next up, in some other little Xbox updates, we've got a couple of more FPS boosts, frames per second boosts, coming to the system. Quite a handful more actually. A lot of them are EA games. Yeah, I thought it's a bit of a weird list to be honest, because I think this whole FPS boost thing is like one of my favourite things that Xbox has done. I think it's really fucking cool, and obviously I yapped on in the first few episodes about Fallout 4. I think it's great, and I'm waiting on a couple of games to play before I play them in, because I want to play them at higher frames. One of them is, I've already played Dishonored 2, but I want to play it again. And then the expansion for that, Death of the Outsider, I haven't played that yet, and I can't stand the thought of playing it at 30, so I'm waiting for it to be at 60. But a lot of these, it's not that the games that they've chosen are weird, it's more that they've chosen ones which are already 60 and allowed them to go to 120, which is like cool, but like how many of us have 120 frames TVs? Do you have a 120 frame TV?
I don't know, maybe, probably not actually. I bought my TV a little while ago. If I did, I haven't anything to use those frames, so I wouldn't know.
So it is what it is. But like the only new one that went is from 30 to 60 is Sea of Solitude, and that game did look pretty sick to be fair. But the rest of them, literally all of them, are 60 to 120. And on this list, we've got the likes of Battlefield 1, 4, and 5. Plants vs Zombies, Garden Warfare, and the second one as well. Star Wars Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Titanfall 2 as well. Unravel. So yeah, it's a nice addition, and ultimately this list is just going to grow. But I'd prefer to see games that are going from 30 to 60. That's just me being selfish because I don't have a 120 hertz TV. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with that as well, and I think, like you said, generally, I mean, there are a lot of people out there that probably do just use monitors for their Series X. They don't
Yeah.
play it on TVs.
Oh yeah.
So maybe we're in. I feel like we're in the majority though that just use a TV, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I agree with you, and I think a lot of people would as well. I would much rather see 30 to 60 than 60 to 120. But
Yeah, for sure.
It's what it is.
There was a bit of an interesting point, and this was mentioned when the first batch came out, and it did happen with Fallout 4 and it happened with Fallout 76, where they said for those games to work on an increased frame rate, they needed to decrease the resolution a bit. Now, I wasn't sure if this was just like a one-off with the Fallout games because of a funky, technical difficulty or whatever, but there are a couple of games here where the same thing has happened. Some of those games, for example, are Battlefield 1 and 5, not 4 for some reason. Star Wars Battlefront 2, Titanfall 2. So yeah, I mean, I guess, and to be fair, when I did this for Fallout 4, I found it quite hard to notice because the details of what the resolution dip aren't there. Like, I don't know what it went from and down to. Like, I don't know if it was running at 4K on my Series X Fallout 4 or...
Yeah.
And if it's gone down to, like, I don't know, it was sort of like 1440 or whatever, but... I did flick between it a few times to see if I could see a difference, and I could very slightly see a difference. But Fallout 4 is quite a hard game because it's quite a soft-looking game anyway, and it's obviously it's fairly old now. So yeah, it's just a bit of compromise. But
yeah, and I think I speak definitely from my point of view is I would always sacrifice a little bit of resolution for that for more frames at least. Especially if I had the option to go to 120, it'd be pretty cool, and but I'm not really too sure. Like I said, I haven't had experience like you where I was comparing and could see a difference or not.
It was definitely worth the trade-off, but it's just it's just something to be aware of, and I think it's quite cool that for most Series X games now, these games will run at their higher resolution by default, so you don't have to. I mean, I don't know if you know, but it's not hard to do. You just click start, go to manage games, and switch it over. That's literally it. You have to restart the game, or it advises that you restart the game. But it's really easy to do. But the games where they decrease the resolution to make it happen, it won't turn on by default, and you have to do it manually, obviously, because you're compromising part of the experience and yada yada yada. So yeah, that's just important to note. For anybody out there who didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, there were a couple of Xcloud, Xbox Live, or Xbox Network, and UI updates for things that happened this week. First and foremost is that Microsoft Xcloud's beta arrives on iOS and PC this week. So this is something we've been following for a while now. This is being done with a streaming company called Rainway, as the streaming will be done through browsers. So for me personally, this is pretty nice, as iOS is the platform I'm on predominantly, and I've been waiting for this for ages, and I didn't get an invite, but that's fine. We'll just have to wait. Because it's just a beta for now. Now, what is really interesting about this is that obviously... let me start with this. Phil Spencer was tweeted in response to one of his own tweets saying, "Am I reading this correctly? Are you saying that Xcloud will be on console as well?" And he responded saying, "At some point it will, yes." So the idea here is, will we be able to stream things to the Xbox itself? And this is really fascinating because, for example, you could stream a game to your console without a download. So, like, let's just say there's an Xcloud tab. You click on it on your console. You pick a game. Literally, boom, boots up, and you start playing it.
Yeah.
That could be used for demos. That could be used to play a game, like the game you're waiting to download. While it's like, obviously the experience is going to be compromised a little bit because you're streaming, but Xcloud is supposedly quite good. Also, he also commented on streaming PC games to console as well. So, there has been this whole thing of Xbox games going to PC, but with this sort of in place, you would be able to stream a PC library or a Steam games to Xbox, which is also kind of bonkers. Like streaming, for example, let's just say, for example, World of Warcraft to your Xbox. I know it's not Steam, I know that's Blizzard launcher, but yeah, and I just thought that was kind of an interesting possibility that I hadn't really thought of before. And Phil did reply to that and said, yep, Azure kind of allows us to do that. It's one of the reasons we're pushing for cross-save. We're focused on consoles for now, but this is something that we actually want to do. Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's very, very cool. The idea of that is pretty exciting. I mean, it's essentially just better Stadia, right?
Yeah.
We're basically just pissing on Stadia space.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would be so cool. Like you were saying, with like cross saves and stuff like that, and just the instant access of everything. Is pretty bonkers. Obviously I don't really know what sort of frame rates, resolutions these will be capped at. They're probably not going to be 60, 4K or 120, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably looking at probably your 1080s. I don't even think you'd get the 1440. But that's fine. And if you're playing older games anyway, then that doesn't really matter. But it's insane. It's the possibilities are almost endless. You can do so much with that.
It's definitely just something I hadn't considered before, and it's definitely I think a lot about how a lot of the benefits of Xbox have gone to other platforms sometimes. Which is whatever. It's a good thing for other people ultimately. But sometimes I think it would be nice if some of the benefits of those platforms came to Xbox as well. Yeah. And I think this is one of those things that streaming really allows us to do. If there is some future, 2 years down the line, where we can stream Steam games to Xbox, that's so sick. Like there are so many dumb games that I see on Steam that I'm like, I would love to play this with my mates. Do you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like just recently, some of the what's the one that's out there? Like Valheim is like the new thing at the moment.
What were you trying to say? Fantasia?
Phantasmania? Phantasmophobia?
I've never heard of that.
You've not heard of this game?
No. What is
it? It was like a thing for a bit. Phasmophobia. I was really close.
Phasmophobia.
Yeah, phasmophobia, mate. It means scared of ghosts. Yeah, it's a 4-player.
Oh yes, I have seen this.
Is that all you needed me to say?
Yeah, ghost.
Big word.
Is it the one where you go around like a house as like a group of mates, or just any sort of level, and it's all. I've seen it all in like VR though. I've seen like a lot of VR.
Yeah, I think you can use it on VR. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've mainly seen, sort of like YouTube videos, people playing it in VR, and yeah, it looks hilarious. It looks really fucking fun.
It's like there's a ghost, so you're playing against the AI, but the AI will like speak to you, and you can speak to it. You're like ghost hunters, so you can say stuff to the room like, move the torch on the desk, and it will do stuff like that using like voice recognition tech and stuff like that. And it looks so fun, and people like shitting themselves. And there are loads of games like this which I feel like get really like viral quick communities on PC that doesn't hit the console space as often. You get things like Hades, you get things like Outer Wilds maybe, but these are way like far fewer between, and they're not as like electric on PC. They really, it's like overnight kind of thing. Maybe Among Us, I know it's not PC necessarily, but it's phones, but it's that kind of like lightning, and like that would be like awesome. Another one I can think of is that what was it called? It was like the party shit, I can't remember. It's called like Party something to do with Party, and like one of you had to like, or a group you, there was a group of you, and like some of you would have to disguise and pretend to be civilians inside like different scenarios, like, and one of you would be like a sniper sniping in, and you could all like speak to each other, and like again, like this game looks like hilarious, and like that again, like, so all these sorts of things, I just think this would be amazing if I could do this and stream this to because these aren't technically demanding games either, I don't think. Maybe Valheim is. Nice, I don't really think so. Like, I think they would stream just fine. And, you know, streaming is mostly going to be... a lot of it's going to be based on the connection that you have anyway. So if you're wired, and, you know, they're going to be activating the server blades in the consoles when this all kicks off anyway. So you can expect this to only get better and better. And, yeah, man, I think I find that really exciting.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you were just listing off some of those titles, there are so many of those I would love to play, and ones that I don't care if performance is lower on or something like that, because they're just fun fuck around games, which are few and far between on Xbox. That would be amazing. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So, in just a couple more updates regarding the UI, there's a new feature coming around Quick Resume. Your boy's getting an update, and it's around the ability to see what games are currently running in Quick Resume. So, where your pins are currently when you pull up the guide. There'll be another group called Quick Resume, and you'll be able to open that anytime and see which games are currently being suspended. And you can manually get rid of them if you want. But this has been a kind of a requested feature to kind of give a bit of transparency around how Quick Resume works. I remember seeing it actually. They were giving one of the developers around the UI had responded to someone on Reddit about it, and it was like a big community suggestion over on one of the Xbox subreddits. So this is really cool to see implemented. I think we definitely need more transparency on how Quick Resume kind of works, so we can not lose our progress by assuming it will work, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it was one of the things we talked about in one of the earlier episodes as well, was exactly this. It's a great feature, for sure. Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe it will stop me closing my games just instinctively now.
So weird that you do that.
I'm still one of those guys that just sometimes when I close my game, I just press the start button on it or whatever it's labeled as on the controller now, and I go down on the drop menu and choose quit. I'm one of those guys. I don't know. It was just habit, I guess, sometimes. And I don't know. It's become second nature while we were playing Outriders as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to close that game.
Yeah, because you said when we were talking a few weeks back, you were talking about you were playing Evil Within, weren't you? And you were like, I don't know if the game has Quick Resume, but you just kept closing it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just sometimes when I'm finished playing a game and then I go onto Netflix or something, I just full quit the game.
It's the future now,
I don't know, man.
It's all waiting for you.
It's an illness.
They're out there. Yeah, it might be.
Especially when I'm repping a podcast that's
literally called Quick Resume. Feature. I hate it. I hate this feature. It's so shit. I never use it.
Anyway, welcome back to Quick Resume.
Yeah, Quick Resume-itis. Diagnosing you.
But yeah, no, it's a really cool UI update, and I will be excited to see that.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. All right, we've got just a few things left before we wrap up today. One of the bigger things that we spoke about in one of the previous episodes that I definitely didn't title for clickbait was that Xbox, that Microsoft might have been purchasing Discord. It was on the table. It was public knowledge. They were looking at it for 20 billion, and we said, haha, that's fucking 3 Bethesda's worth. Haha, very funny. Anyway, that's stopped. That's not happening anymore. Discord is going to stay independent, it seems. Satya Nadella has finally frozen the card that Phil stole. He's just
that's it. Phil cutting you off.
Yeah,
Jesus,
exactly.
Man. Discord, really?
Yeah. He's like, but I Oh. I was eyeing up fucking MySpace next.
I mean, it definitely made sense to get Discord and to look into buying it. Like when we talked about it in a previous episode. Go back and watch the episode. Not sure which one. It's a pretty.
I don't know either.
Go back and watch all of them. You'll find it eventually. I don't know which episode it is, but yeah, we talked about it and how it'd be like advantageous for Xbox to get it and stuff like that. But yes, it's not happening.
Yeah, no,
too
absolutely.
much money.
But like ultimately, I don't think they lose that much by not having it. I think there was a lot to gain, but they don't lose much. They've still got like the best party chat system out there, and so it's not like they're not competitive in that area. But it would have. They could have done a lot of things with it, but yeah, they don't lose that much, I don't think.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All right, and in our final bit of news, I know it might feel a bit weird landing on Sony, talking about Sony at the end, but that we did, because we spoke about it last week, and we spoke about like preservation and all of that, and Sony had closed their PlayStation, the PSP, PS Vita, and PS3 stores, so the games that were on those stores could no longer be bought. However, I don't know if you saw anything about this, they reversed their decision. They made a blog post saying, we made a bad decision, yada yada yada, we're going to keep it, we're going to keep the PS3 and the PS Vita stores up. PSP is still going, which is probably fine. But this is good, man. Like, I just wanted to, because this is now Xbox are 1-1 on shitty decisions they've made this year, but have gone back on. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of, it's good. It's good that the community stayed vocal about it and didn't just say, "Oh, good choice. I hate backwards compatibility. It's bad." It's good everybody stayed vocal. Keep them accountable, man.
Yeah, it's a win. It's a win for the gamers for sure, man. It's very nice to see. Because when we talked about it, I was definitely a bit annoyed by it. Just the idea of it didn't affect me personally, but it's just like, it's just, this is people's art, this is people's livelihood and that they put into these games and time and everything. There's no reason you should just strip it down from existence. So yeah, awesome, great news.
Yeah, good job, PlayStation. Good shit. So with that, really, that concludes episode 8 of our Quick Resume podcast. Thanks for joining us today. We'll hopefully be back next week. I'm sure there'll be more news. There is more news every week, and boy oh boy, I'm going to keep saying it, we're getting closer and closer to that sweet, sweet E3 time.
Yeah, that you're so on the fence about.
I'm so on the fence about E3. Who knows what I'll say next week? Honestly, it's a mystery. Who knows?
I mean, that's just one reason to come back, entirely, is just to see, just be like, what is he going to say about E3 this time? Like, is he going to be hyped? Is he going to be bummed out?
Yeah.
Has he bought a PlayStation? Is he completely just ditched?
I mean, who knows? Literally, I'm a wild card. Who knows? I could do something crazy.
You are a bit of a wild card. Yeah.
So I mean, like and subscribe, and if you want to see what I say next week. Anyway, we're going to sign off now. Any closing words from you, Tim?
Absolutely none.
We're podcast hosts, everyone.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. No, there's not really any closing notes from me.
Okay, that's fine.
From just thank you for listening, and
thank you, man.
It's been great doing the show with you, man.
Yeah,
I'm acting like this is our last show. Not coming back next week, by the way.
Man. Yeah, I've really enjoyed our time together.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't have anything to say either, so we're going to go now, because you've probably already clicked away. So, yeah, bye, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll speak to you next week.
Bye.
Bye!